Over the years, I've carried out many operations against organised terrorist groups who've been a threat to our national security. I've found the best way to deal with an organised threat is with an even more organised response.
0600 hours. I'm on my way to meet the police. They start early, like the military.
Okay, so this morning then we're in York. Today's going to be one of the biggest takedowns of suspected drug dealers coming from out of town, abusing this local community and taking advantage of what is seen as a soft target. However, they are in for a big shock. Stand by.
First stage of the op, dawn raids. North Yorkshire police are hitting multiple targets across their patch. A military tactic also used by special forces. Disrupt the enemy with precise planning.
Right, good morning everybody. Thank you all for turning out so early. And I'm really excited about today. My name is Carol Kirk. I'm the Detective Chief Inspector for this operation. We're going to disrupt the distribution of illegal drugs. We're going to utilise technology to make sure that we're maximising every single opportunity we have to disrupt and detain. Nothing else to say but go get them.
Disrupt and detain are two words I know well from the SAS. Today, these officers are going after the OCGs, which stands for Organised Crime Groups.
Organised crime group sounds like a real fancy name and it sounds like it's got a little bit of kudos. But let's make no bones about it. These are criminals.
Yep.
These are criminals coming into our area to exploit vulnerable people.
On any operation, information is power. According to the National Crime Agency, at least 59,000 individuals are involved in serious and organised crime in the UK.
So I'm guessing we're going to hit a simultaneous number of, we call it targets, houses or locations where we know these people are.
Yep.
What are we expecting to find there? The people, drugs,
people,
weapons.
drugs, could be weapons. So the reason why we're targeting certain addresses is because we've built up such an intelligence picture that we believe that there will be something illegal in there, and most of the time it will be drugs.
Is it going to be a soft approach or an aggressive approach? We used to have a ramping up system, you know, so we generally go hard, drop down. So as soon as you put the fear of God, you've got the shock of capture, you have control of it, as opposed to a soft approach, then it escalates.
If you go and knock on the door and say it's the police, if you were a drug dealer, what would you do?
Exactly.
You'd get rid of it down the toilet, or you'd be out the back door, wouldn't you?
Op Medusa is a massive operation. North Yorkshire Police are running it alongside specialists from Merseyside Police. Nearly 100 officers carrying out raids and patrols for 48 hours to disrupt OCGs and safeguard vulnerable people. I'm assigned to a strike team.
What sort of drugs are you expecting?
So the intelligence link in this address is the sale of Class A drugs. That's what we're sort of expecting to find there. But as well as the hardened drugs, you normally find, you know, the less hardened drugs. You like your Class B, Class C, your cannabis and things like that as well.
So this particular task now, are these purely dealers or are the dealers users?
These people that we're targeting today are probably 2 or 3 rungs up the ladder from your normal users on the street.
Okay.
So they're the ones that we want to target and try and get them off the picture if we can do.
Time to target, 30 seconds, rolling in. And that's the target house on the left.
Right, ditch it there. Come back afterwards.
Go. That's the teams running to position now. So what you've got is the cut-off around the back and the K9 will join them. And then you've got the immediate entry team straight onto the door.
Please! Entry going in. Go.
Please, entry's made.
Keep your hands down. Take that back room, back bedroom.
That's entry made immediately. In a split second, they're in.
The house is empty. It's what we call a dry hole. This is common in this type of operation, and there will now be a search of the property.
So the search has gone on in the front of the house, and simultaneously the dog's in the back checking the perimeter, outbuildings, and then eventually through the back door.
And although there's no suspect inside, the sweep of the house is helping the police build a profile of him.
We've got some paraphernalia, which we expect to find, which is linked to drug dealing and drug use. And potentially a burner phone as well, which again links into the paraphernalia and suggests that he may be involved in the dealing of and supply of Class A drugs. If we find other stuff as well, then that's going to link in, and there may be other offences that he's wanted for.
The suspicion is that someone here is a lower-level member of an organised crime gang, and now the team have potential new evidence.
During my time in the SAS, I've operated undercover all over the globe. I've hidden my identity using a mask more times than I can actually remember. But there are people working undercover right here in the UK to catch a particular breed of criminal.
And it's not just the police investigating them. Out in Wiltshire, the council has its own undercover unit, a crack team led by an ex-army man whose identity needs to remain anonymous. Let's call him Rob. His target, fly tippers, and he's on his way to a known hotspot.
So we've received a fly tip report, which is over in the west of Wiltshire, and this particular location is somewhere which is very remote, so it's perfect for fly tippers. So we're just going to go and have a look at that.
Rob is on a covert mission, and he's going to be using a piece of kit I'm used to deploying in the field, a secret camera. He's tasked to install one at the site to catch these criminals in the act.
I have a military background, and all of that side of things has sort of taught me really important things when it comes to installing cameras. In particular, the covert ones, where you need to actually have them in locations where they're not going to be seen, and we can leave them in there for periods of time. So the basic skills of any soldier of the cam and concealment, and that's cam and concealment, of course, of the camera equipment, but it's also how you're thinking about yourself when you're actually installing it. And those sorts of skills I'd learnt years back from being in the services and my time in the military.
Covert filming is a technique they have used many times to bring these fly tippers to justice. And the scale of the problem is vast, according to Adrian Hampton, Wiltshire's head of highway operations.
We get 200 fly tips a month, which is obviously 50 a week. That is a scary number. It's also a waste of money. Wiltshire Council spends over £2.5 million per annum on clearing, littering and fly tips. Imagine what that 2.5 million would do for your roads. Imagine what that 2.5 million would do for adult and social care. We have vital services that are crying out for money, and I am spending £2.5 million picking up somebody else's fly tip. It's just wrong, and we've got to stop it.
Wiltshire Council are cracking down hard on these criminals. And before installing the camera at this site, Rob and his team have an investigation to carry out. They're tasked with a fingertip search of the waste for anything that will link the debris that has already been dumped back to the culprit. It's painstaking work.
Okay, so we're at the spot, fly tipping spot now. Go careful, go careful. So we're heading down to almost the ravine base. Looking up to the right, we've got where the road is, where we parked. And that's obviously the location where vehicles will pull up, make sure nobody's around, and then whatever they've got in their vehicle, they'll dump down the side. A really quick operation and they're away.
The amount dumped here is shocking. TVs, fridges, furniture, chemicals leaking from white goods and construction waste can be consumed by wildlife and pollute the soil. And it's safe to say that nothing dumped here is biodegradable.
I'm absolutely disgusted at what I can see with the type of waste we can see here. It makes me feel sick.
Rob and his colleague get to work.
Fly tipping's a criminal offence. It carries imprisonment, it carries unlimited fines, and this is a crime scene, so we have to follow the same rules as our police colleagues do, and we need to make sure we preserve the evidence, importantly, at the scene, So what my colleague's doing now is search some of this domestic waste and looking for addresses, any correspondence that there might be within the waste. It's really important that we photograph that in situ, actually where we found it. Everything's documented and it's all in order for us to move forward with the investigation. We take pictures of distinctive items that have been dumped, so we can ask people, do you recognise this item of waste? As we can see some toys within the bag. In fact, there's a good big penguin up there, look, we could get the penguin in.
With the evidence bagged up on previous offenders, it's time to set up the sting. And with Rob's army background, he's an expert.
Preparation is important. Reconnaissance of the area is really important. And these sorts of skills are certainly ones that I've picked up being an ex-military person. And they stay with you. They stay with you for life. It helps us in terms of our camera capability, how we recce, how we install, how we monitor, how we extract. So, you know, number one is never be compromised. If I was installing this today, for example, and somebody came down and actually noticed me putting the camera in, that's something we'd pull out straight away.
This is the kind of strategy I can relate to. A covert op from start to finish.
So this is the camera we use, very, very small, easily to conceal, good long lead. We do often bury all this equipment, we'll bury it in the ground. It's waterproof, it can operate really well in harsh conditions. I'm aware from my military experience that, you know, it's important to make sure things are concealed as effectively as possible. We really adapt our equipment. So I'm just going to try and maybe try and use a bit of this ivy now to conceal some of these cables, if I can. When that cable's tucked away, it's very hard to be spotted by somebody else. But that's behind the tree as well, so anybody walking along are not actually going to see that concealed.
Just like military hardware, the motion detector and high resolution images mean that Rob is able to read number plates and identify suspects' faces. A powerful jurisdiction authorised by the council.
You know, it's covert cameras. We're regulated and we have to make sure that we are appropriately authorised and we have operations signed off by magistrates' courts.
These covert cameras are definitely driving down the problem in Wiltshire and driving up the conviction rates.
Every single flight tip is investigated, and every single flight tip with evidence, some form of action is taken. We will issue about 5 fixed penalty notices a month, and we probably go to court once a month as well on that. So we take it very, very seriously. The reason why I'm so passionate is it just should not occur. There are ample opportunities for people to get rid of their waste. There are companies that are legitimate, that people should use to dispose of their waste correctly. If you are someone at home and you've got some rubbish, just think about where it's going to end up. You know, use official channels. You do need to check their credentials. They should actually have a card with their registered waste carrier license actually on there. If they haven't got that, do not engage them. You have a legal responsibility to ensure that happens. And if you don't do that, currently the fine is £400 and that is going up to £600. So when that white van man knocks on your door and says, I'll clear your rubbish for £5, it can be a very expensive way of disposing of your fly tipping.
The council have a zero tolerance approach, and Rob's mission at this hotspot is complete.
Everybody has seen the absolute mess and disgust of the fly tipping that's taken place across the way there. And now we've got a camera in place. Hopefully we'll catch some of the culprits and bring them to justice and get them in the courts.
Here at Wiltshire Council, we have simply had enough of fly tippers. We are taking on these military actions to ensure that we stop the scourge of fly tipping and that we protect this beautiful Wiltshire countryside for everybody to enjoy.
Breaching into a stronghold to take down the enemy or to stop criminality is something that I do all the time. I'm also very aware there is also two sides to this story. Hearts and minds is something massive in the regiment. In every situation or crime that we go into, there is always a victim. And their stories are always shocking and heartbreaking.
We spoke to one man who borrowed from a loan shark. He doesn't want to be identified because of fear and shame, all too common with loan shark victims.
I moved back to my area and myself and my partner decided we wanted to get married, and there was a gentleman who I thought was a friend of the family at the time who my mother-in-law had dealings with over 2 decades. He said he would lend us some money with an interest rate on top, and I was like, yeah, sound. It was nice and simple, didn't have to worry about credit checks or anything like that. Wrote it down on a bit of paper, said here's £500. He literally said pay back that every month. Paid that back in 5 months, I think, and then Christmas came about. I wasn't in a well-paying job, and then so I borrowed more money, then I paid that off. And then so I borrowed more money, then I paid that off. Looking back now, it was simple at the time and it made life easier for us, but it was just never-ending cycle of debt that I wasn't getting out of. So every £100 I borrowed, he wanted £60 on top. Over the years, obviously, it got a bit higher, so it went up to £70. So if I borrowed £100, I had to pay it back at £170.
It's a scenario that Kath Wallace at the illegal money lending team in Birmingham has seen often.
They're not nice people. Loan sharks are pernicious criminals who exploit vulnerable people, and they do it for their own greed. They do it for money, and they do it because they can. And they don't stop. It's not like they reach an optimum amount of money and then they stop being a loan shark because they're happy now. They keep going and they keep expanding their business to try and prey on more people to keep the money coming in.
And that was exactly what was happening to the man we spoke to.
He didn't pay any tax on it. It was cash every single time. There was a few times where I turned around and said to him, oh, can I transfer it to your bank? No, I'll just come back. Just go to the cash point for us. At the time, you think nothing of it. He just nonchalantly said, I'll come next time. I'll come Tuesday or something like that.
Loan sharking is a cash business, no question about it. This footage was filmed by the illegal money lending team as they were searching the homes of loan sharks. They sometimes find tens of thousands of pounds stashed away. And all of this has come from people who can barely afford to pay them. People like the victim we spoke to, whose life was about to be turned upside down by worldwide events.
And it wasn't until COVID hit, and obviously everybody locked down, and I never saw him for months. My wife's health took a turn, had to give up work because of looking after the kids, because she wasn't fit. And then money-wise, what was coming in wasn't as much as we were getting when I was working full-time. We had to miss a few payments to start off with and stuff like that. And then he started turning up and he started getting really aggressive.
The pressure of paying back the interest threw them into a terrible situation.
We did prioritise paying him over putting food on the table. Like, you feel bad, like you're failing as a parent.
And as they struggled to pay, the sunny friendship with the loan shark took a different turn.
He started being really rude. It ended up being really confrontational.
Sadly, this sort of thing is not uncommon, but you can be wise to loan sharks.
It's not the end if you're trapped in a loan shark debt. The first thing to do is acknowledge that this is happening to you. So, loans should have paperwork. If your loan hasn't got paperwork, that's a big red flag for this being an illegal lender. And there should never be threats or coercive control employed in getting money back out of people. So if any of those things are happening to you, it's about checking if this lender is authorised and then letting us help you if they're not.
Our victim protected his family from assault, but thought he would still have to pay back thousands of pounds to the man that was tormenting him.
When you find out that you've just been mugged off, and knowing that he lived in a really posh part of town, he had about 4 different cars, it's soul destroying.
The family didn't realise that there was help available until it walked up the driveway in the shape of Kath's colleagues at the illegal money lending team.
I had a knock on the door. It was 2 guys and they says, oh, we're such and such from the illegal money lending team. and he says, person X has been illegally lending money to people and we believe you're one of the victims. And I was like, you better come in.
The team followed up on information given by a number of witnesses. Then they put the loan shark in the dock. He was convicted and sentenced as a result of good people speaking out.
The illegal money lending team were great. They took statements, they made us feel better about what had happened and the fact that we weren't the only victims. There was a lot of other people.
Most people would tell us that they wish they'd report the loan shark sooner. Doesn't matter if they give us a statement and go on the record or not, we will give them support. And you can see people become lighter and you can see them look younger because they haven't got that worry of the next text message, the next bang on the door, the person following them to school and what that might do to them and their family.
Anyone offering to lend money should be registered with the Financial Conduct Authority. If they aren't, there's a good chance you could be borrowing from a loan shark. Back with North Yorkshire Police, we're gathering more evidence. But just as we finish, my team is quickly being called for backup on another raid.
So what was the incident that led to this then?
So as they were executing the warrant, as I understand it, a vehicle turned up, saw that the police were there, did a quick 180 and tried to leave the premises. They were subsequently stopped. I believe they discarded some items. So they've been arrested. Their partner and some of the people that were at the premises have also been arrested.
Forensic search needs attention to detail, and these officers picked up on a scent when they spied some suspect-looking packages.
So we've gone out there, looked overall and found these two
Perfect.
bags overall. But then in the caravan in there, there's shed loads.
What drugs is it and what would that be valued at?
We suspect it's cocaine.
Right.
It's difficult to say exactly how much, but it's going to be a good few £1,000s worth at least.
And that was ditched and we reckon there's more inside.
Yeah, so more drugs have been found in the caravan itself.
It's great.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
But the suspect packages found dumped over the wall leads the officers to an even bigger find inside the caravans.
What have we got? A lot.
Did you see the bags that?
Yes, yeah.
Like 12 more.
12 more of them. Wow.
During the search, an even more remarkable find reveals some vital evidence.
There's quite a lot of Class A substance drugs here. And also there's a supply list. And on the supply list of the people that owe these people money for supplying them with the Class A drugs are the people that we're going after, already on the list. So an absolutely fantastic result.
As the operation moves into the first night, the teams will keep up the search. It's long hours and arduous work, something I'm used to in the SAS.
Section 23, misuse of drugs at warrant.
When morning breaks, we're back at HQ with our next target in sight. He's a suspected dealer who's known to be armed and dangerous.
It's going to be drugs, it's going to be drug paraphernalia, it's going to be cash, it's going to be phones, it's going to be SIM cards, the usual.
Potentially a number of associates as well.
Potentially a number of associates in that address, one of whom is potentially, well, his brother, two of whom, his brother and this lad could be a bit
aggressive
if they don't fancy it.
SAS tactics are needed here. I learned on my first few missions, you go in fast and you dictate what happens. That stops trouble before it starts.
Okay, so we just had the brief. Again, it's a drugs task. This time there's more associates. This should get a little bit more hairy. I spent over 27 years in the military, and conflict and confrontation was my everyday life, dealing with hostilities. In the civvy world, people see things differently, they're less aggressive, and they have their own way of dealing with things.
Not every crime fighter has a badge or a uniform. And just like the SAS, they find a more cunning way to fight battles than a full frontal assault. Oxford in southeast England is home to Fiona Bateman and her family, including her young son, Graham.
I'm Fiona from Oxford. I've got a husband and 2 children.
They were all sitting happily at home one day when crime came riding up their driveway.
We were just at home, doing normal day-to-day things. My husband had gone out the front to sweep some leaves up. Next thing I know, he's coming in asking where Graham's bike was. He had seen somebody cycle into our carport and then come back out riding a bike and holding another bike that looked like Graham's.
This video clip captures what just happened at the back of Fiona's house. Her husband went to investigate. CCTV had captured this disturbing footage. Graham's bike had been nicked whilst the family sat at home.
So this is our carport, the bikes are on the back there. So he put his bike down and proceeded to cut the lock of Graham's bike. It was something like 1:30 in the afternoon. He knew exactly where he was going, so he'd obviously had a look beforehand. Straight over to the bikes, in full view of another CCTV camera. Took everything away with him. He took the lock as well. It is terrible. You don't expect it in broad daylight.
Brazen, but not unfamiliar to a lot of people. In 1 year alone, there were over 70,000 bike thefts like this in the UK, and 90% go unsolved.
It's a problem. It is a problem. Bike crime in the city is high. It's distressing for people when their bike's stolen. It's never nice having something that you own taken from you, but people rely on their bikes in Oxford to travel. It's taken from you, you can't go about your day. They normally then invest in a better lock, so I think it's a strong message there. The better lock, you're going to slow someone down or put someone off. You can register your bike. There's a national cycle bike register. Put your bike on there, and if the bike is recovered through a police operation, they'll check the database and hopefully reunite with your bike. 90% of people I don't think do it. If I would guess, maybe 15–20% of people get their bikes back if they're stolen, that I've heard of. And it can be years later as well.
That's a lot of thefts, but Fiona's was different. She had the crook's face on camera.
It wasn't a new bike by any means, but it's his only form of transport. It was just annoying that he no longer had that.
Fiona put on her SAS tactics hat. By using surveillance, stealth and reconnaissance, she decided that she would find the man who stole her son's bike.
I was definitely a mum on a mission. Once we had the CCTV images, I posted them on my Facebook page, and almost straight away we were having people contacting us, telling us who he was, saying, well, that's Dave the bike thief. So he obviously had a name for it.
Fiona's scouting mission had uncovered that this guy was notorious.
Tracking him down was really easy using social media. The amount of people that were messaging me, and they actually knew where he lived. So it was really easy to find out his name and address, and then realised it was so close to us.
I'm a former soldier, but I've heard the pen is mightier than the sword. Certainly is if Fiona from Oxford is doing the writing.
Everybody knew who he was, where he lived, and yet there was just nothing happening. And I, overnight, decided to stand up for myself and the family, and we always tell the kids not to be bullied or intimidated, so I decided to do something about it. In the morning, I grabbed some sign writing equipment, made a sign, "Where's my bike, Dave?" and said to my husband, if you want me, I'm going to be outside Dave's house with my sign.
Fiona did exactly what we do in the SAS. She used overt tactics to directly confront the enemy, but in a clever and cunning way.
I was just so frustrated that I just went and sat outside his house for 3 days with my sign, just showing him that I wasn't scared of him, that I was going to show him up to be the bike thief he was.
Fiona's secret weapon was shame. With advice from the police, she was outside with the sign whenever it came in or out, reminding him of what he'd done.
By the time I got there, He then turned up, and then the police followed shortly after to let me know what I was allowed to do and what I wasn't. So it had to be a silent protest. I couldn't obstruct Dave if I saw him. Yeah, I wasn't allowed to speak to him, basically. I just had to be totally silent. Chatting to people that came past about why I was there and just getting the word out that he lived there and what he was doing.
Embarrassing as hell for Dave, but Fiona played by the rules and the general public were right behind her.
And I was talking to people, they were coming down, giving me cups of coffee and croissants and whatever else. They were just coming out and giving me some support. I did see Dave. He did come over and speak to me. I was nervous at the time because Dave isn't a small fella. He is over 6 foot.
Her approach needed to be quiet and confident, and she showed a soldier's courage.
I suppose it just snowballed.
Fiona went on a mission to bravely highlight that there was a bike thief living near her. And it was a complete success, as this particular guy had his face splashed all over local and national newspapers. The key is working within the law and following police advice. The suspect here was arrested for a series of bike thefts and found guilty of taking 8 bikes. He received a 2-year suspended sentence. Fiona was glad he was caught, but was sadly unable to get her son's bike back.
It's really good to be able to use social media to shine a light on Dave's habits, Dave's bike thefts, to get him caught, basically, to stop him from stealing other bikes. There is only a minor percentage that can actually stop bike thefts, bike crime, and if I'm in that percentage, that's brilliant.
In the SAS, you have to be smart, you have to be tough, but you also have to be proactive and think ahead.
And more civilian groups are using proactive tactics to go head-to-head with people who are blighting our communities. Haleth Wynne-Evans heads up one such civilian group here in Rhyl. She and her team of officers from Natural Resources Wales help to regulate the waste industry.
This is bad.
Including illegal dumping like this.
We've got the white goods, your typical freezer, fridges, mattresses. This is a typical fly tipping, absolutely awful. Settees, old stuff that could be taken to the tip and recycled, but they just can't be bothered. There's no respect, is it? This is going to cost thousands, isn't it? Makes my blood boil.
But now, Haleth and the team have adopted an SAS mindset. They've teamed up with North Wales Police to stop fly tippers before they can tip.
Seen a white van. I think he knows how we're going to stop him, so he slowed down himself. Oh, he's turning right. No, he's not.
Part of their job is to check that all waste removal companies have a license to collect and dump rubbish. And this white lorry they've spotted fits the bill for a check.
We're just checking if you've got a waste carrier, what you've got in the back. We're just stopping everything at the moment, to be honest with you. Because if you're legal, you know, it's that's fine, yeah.
Haleth and her colleagues have decided they will stop and search any suspect vehicles they see, so they can stop the fly tipping before it happens.
Yeah, lovely. There was stuff in the back, but debris. But he's obviously been carrying stuff. So for intel purposes, we'll do some checks when we go back. We asked him where he'd been and he said he'd been with his dog for a walk. And to be honest with you, I don't know where he would take the dog for a walk in this area either, because it's quite built up area. But he was very nervous, so he's definitely one to keep an eye on.
Intuition is an important skill in the military, and good intuition often leads to capturing good evidence. A few miles away, another van has been spotted.
So 2 of our colleagues have just stopped a vehicle and they're asking for assistance because they believe that it's not a legal waste carrier. So we've just located them and we'll go and speak to them.
The driver of this vehicle was loading up items from a nearby house and certainly not expecting a proactive anti-fly tipping operation.
The van is more or less full of bedding, household stuff. So the van driver has been spoken to and he said that he had a licence to do it, albeit he didn't have a licence, it's expired. When did it run out?
Last year.
So we're in January last year, what month?
He's told the team he's charging the homeowner to remove the items and will keep them himself.
So they've cleared the property. He thinks he's going to sell most of it in car boot sales and online. Who knows? I think he will sell it. Is this the load from here?
Yeah.
Just here?
Yeah.
So just sad that he wanted to make some money, but he's gone around it the wrong way without the legalities of a licence. Quite a good job, to be honest, that he's been caught in the act.
Anyone you employ to dump your waste should have a licence. Many dumpers are unlicensed. So if you don't have a licence, people like Heleth at National Resources Wales will catch you out.
It just causes people to talk and they'll think twice about doing what this gentleman's been doing today. So it's a bit of a shockwave for real, really, that we are out and about. Where were you going to take this then?
To my garage in Rook. I've got a big garage.
So I've got to take his word that he's going to take that to his garage now. We'll probably follow him to his garage, to be honest.
But just to make sure the stuff isn't dumped,
we've taken photographs of every item in that van. So if there's any sightings of anything, he'll get prosecuted. But I don't think he's that daft.
the items in the van were never found dumped, and the driver was summoned to court. So Heleth's tactics today seem to be working. Operation Medusa, 2 days focused on disrupting organised crime gangs, and we have a potentially violent man to arrest. The plan on this one is to stun and surprise, something I'm used to with the SAS.
There could be a few little issues on this one, so flexibility I think is the key on this, and the team are all ready to go, so let's see what happens.
We've got to be quick, quiet and focused.
Open the door! Just locked it. Move back from the door! Go. Come on. Move. Please! Hand still! Keep still.
No resistance. Suspect located and overwhelmed.
Is this your flat? Any weapons or drugs?
Inside, the police have got control, but it seems the door was double locked from the inside, delaying entry.
Okay, so we're just going to do the search around the outside just to make sure nothing has been thrown out the window.
The team bring in the dogs, some canine backup to sniff out any contraband.
There's a certain smell in there, which in my experience means that probably somebody's been smoking there, and certainly with that bit of a delay getting through the door, anything tangible might have gone somewhere that we can't find it.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
The door literally was locked in front of us as we got there, which took a bit of a delay in terms of getting in. It took quite a few smashes of the enforcer to break down the 3 locks that were locking this door from the other side. In that time delay, there's always a possibility they could flush any drugs down the toilet or get rid of it in other manners. Can you just confirm what we've got in there right now?
Yeah, got 2 named males, the registered owner of the flat, or the registered occupant of the flat.
Right.
And we've got another male who is circulated as wanted on the PNC for violent disorder. He's currently under arrest. We're going to go through the searches and everything, obviously, but under arrest at the moment for a wanted.
The arrest is done, and a further 2 people inside are being searched. Class C drugs are found on 1 person, but this is the man with the reputation, and now he's off to custody to face charges of alleged violence. This goes to show the importance of planning and working as a team. You never know what's behind the door. Fail to prepare, prepare to fail.
How was that, Phil?
Entry was made inside the premises. We had 3 occupants inside there. 1 that we knew that was going to be there, 2 that could have been there. One of the persons inside the premises was also wanted for a violent disorder, so he's been arrested. So overall, you know, it was a successful warrant.
A violent suspect off the streets. Another success chalked up for the team I'm with. But across the board, weeks of planning and gathering intel on Operation Medusa throughout North Yorkshire has been a success. With 32 arrests in total, seizing a large quantity of Class A and B drugs and closing down 2 organised crime groups. It's been great to see part of it in action.
So at the end of the tasking today, up here with the North Yorkshire Constabulary against our target. We've had some successes, simultaneous operations, mission complete. Disruption with force and stealth were used by today's teams. And I'm learning more about these brave officers and the tactics they're using, which I can relate to during my time in the SAS. These types of operations break up patterns of crime and ultimately help get the criminals off the streets.